It's because it's my most recent story, and it's one that involved my shoulder surgery.
Hard to
And
say, I know.
yeah, I say that like 10 times fast. So I had shoulder surgery because I had a rotator cuff full tear, and then I had some other tears with my bicep, and there were like three different things that I can't remember offhand because it's all very technical. And I wrote it out, and I think I screenshot or copied and pasted it to you what I had done. But
Uh-huh.
it's in I think it was in the testimonial that you
Yeah.
posted. But yeah, so my surgeon told me, in advance, the first 3 months you're going to really hate that you had this surgery, and then you're going to start to feel a little bit better, and then you're going to feel like, okay, you're glad, and then after 6 months you're going to feel like, okay, this is totally worth it, and then after a year, when you're fully recovered doing things right, you're going to be fine and you're going to be happy.
Hmm.
And so I had my surgery on March 25th, which was a Monday. And they told me to stay ahead of my pain and to take my pain meds at bedtime. Or if I started to feel the nerve block or my fingers, because I had a nerve block, if I started to feel my like sensations coming back in my fingers. And I made sure I had uh, Freedom patch, and I had Liberty, and I had Defend, and what's the other one? Victory. So I had those, but I made sure when I told my son, when I come out of surgery, I want you to place Defend, Freedom, and I think it was Liberty, right? Liberty on my arms,
Hmm.
wherever you can. And so, oh, sorry. And so, I lose you guys right after my surgery. Um, I had him put it on, and then of course they told me, all right, make sure you take your pain meds, and they had me on Percocet. And so later that evening on Monday, I started taking the Percocet, and I took one, and it said 1 to 2 every 4 to 6 hours. And I really didn't want to be on them, but I didn't know what I was going to be dealing with. So I started taking one, but I wanted it every 5 hours. So 5 hours later, I took another. Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, I stopped taking Percocet. That was my last Percocet I took because I didn't feel like I needed it. And so I wanted to see how I would feel without it. And so then Wednesday morning, still no pain. But then at this point, my fingers are moving, and so my nerve block is I guess is gone. So Wednesday morning, I get a call from the surgeon's office, and they call. They're like, "So we were just checking in to see how your pain is going." And I had to ask them, "When's the pain supposed to start to kick in?" Because I had no pain at all. It felt more like I got a tetanus shot, and so it was like that feeling you get is,
Like ache.
and I yeah, that aching feeling. But that was it. So I had my post-op the following Wednesday. I went in and they were just shocked at how I looked. And my surgeon literally showed me the video of my surgery because I think he thinks I didn't believe I had it done.
Right.
Because he said to me, he was like, this procedure normally knocks people, excuse my language. He goes, but I'm quoting him. He goes, it knocks people on their ass.
Yeah.
And I have felt great. I was supposed to start physical therapy at 6 weeks. I went in at 4 weeks for a consultation, and he said probably 95% range of motion. He was so
No
surprised
way.
because
95?
yeah, because he
What?
had me lift my right arm, and then my surgery was on my left arm, and I have a scar. So for those of you who aren't even sure, there's one of my scars, and then I have three on my shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And so but yeah, and so I've been wearing those patches, and I swear that's the only thing I can think of that has made this journey so remarkable. And then I found out now I have to have surgery on my right, and I'm not too worried
Right.
because I mean I'm right arm dominant, so it might be a little bit different, but the pain and everybody I talked to who had the same procedure, there was only one other woman who had a good experience. Everyone else,
Really?
I was so afraid to have it done,
Yeah.
but I needed to have it done because it's part of my accident claim and everything. So,
Yeah.
but so that's my story, and then and my biggest one, and But then my son, who was also in the same accident with me, because we run and we do orders, his legs get really tired. And because he's, he's a little bit heavier and his legs get really tired and he's just really stiff. He's had, gosh, by the time he was 5, he had 8 different surgeries,
Oh, really?
and oh yeah, and on his back he had 2 because he had an extra half vertebrae that was causing scoliosis. Anyway, so when we get home at the end of the night, he's so tired that he has to stop on the stairs, just to kind of rest before he can make it back up because his legs are achy and his back is achy. Because we found out also that even though he had that surgery at the age of 2, now that he's 16, after the car accident, we had an X-ray done and found out he has scoliosis again. The curve isn't as bad and we're watching it, but they think that this is also kind of affecting his legs. So, but whenever we go out, he's like begging. He's like, Mom, can we change out my patches? And so I'm like, sure. So whenever he wears the patches, he's able to make it up the stairs without pausing. And I find that it's helping him rest better when he's on it. So as soon as he found out there was peace and what was the other one? Focus. He was like, okay, we got to try new patches, Mom. He's like, these patches are amazing. And so, because he's doing running start, so he's taking college classes
Cool.
with his. Yeah, so he's, a little bit stressed out. We're running orders with Mom, because he's not in the building because he has PTSD from our car accident. So he's with me all the time. So, but
What are his 2 patches? His go-to?
his go Liberty and Defend.
Liberty and
Yeah, yeah. So,
So
so
he doesn't wear freedom, he just wears liberty and defend.
no, yeah, not for the pain.
That's
Yeah,
really cool. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So he's like, Mom, I'm saving. Wait, did you say? Yeah, freedom. Yeah. He's like, I'll save the freedom for you. You keep the freedom because of your pain, or from my dad, because my dad has sciatica and it's really bad. And when he walks around the house, you just know he's in pain because he's just making these sounds. So I'm like, Dad, put on the patches. He's like, those things don't work. And I'm like, Dad, put on the patches. And so I put 2 patches on him, and he's he's ex-military, right?
Oh yeah.
So the guy, so he's like one of those typical guys that doesn't like to admit, when he's wrong and stuff like that. And so I noticed that when we put the patches on him, I'm not hearing him like grunting as he's walking.
Which two
So,
which 2 are you using on him?
Defend and no, not Defend. It's Freedom and Victory. Freedom and
Okay.
Victory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then every once in a while I'll try to throw a Defend on him. He's so reluctant that if I can get 2 on him, I'm happy. So when he's in an agreeable mood, I'll throw that 3rd one because he's got high blood pressure and
Oh,
I'm really
okay.
concerned about that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so when I put those patches on him, he doesn't make the sounds. And so I asked him, I was like, so how do you like these patches? He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think that they're working. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. I was like, if you don't want to use them, I'm not going to force them on you. And then I was out of the house and I get a text message from him. And he was like, where are your patches? And I was like,
Really? Wow.
my
Ooh.
room on the table. And he was like, you think I could get a couple? Like, absolutely. So I had my son grab the 2 patches, and and at that time it was Defend and Liberty that
Uh-huh.
I put on him.
Yeah.
And I think because he was starting to get a cold as well.
Mhm.
But then so he put those on, and he goes, "Do you have any more of those?" The next day, he's like, "Do you have any more of those patches?" He goes,
Uh-huh.
"I think they're starting to work." And I was like, "Well, Dad, you have to wear them more than just one day." He's thinking he's going to throw it on, and instantly he's going to
Yeah.
have,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. No, I
And
mean,
for a lot of times, that happens. I mean, like if I have a migraine and I throw on Defend, like within like seconds, I feel like that headache is gone.
wow.
But my mom is 84
Hmm.
and she's this very frail right now, Asian woman who she's had a couple of strokes and she's on tuberculosis medication, which is just draining her. And but she's a fighter and she likes to go out whenever she can. So when she found out she was no longer in isolation, they went to go see her doctor, and then they came home. Oh no, she told my dad she needed to meet a friend so that at the casino. So she kind of tricked my dad to take her to the casino. And so whenever they go to the casino, it's kind of hard to get her to leave. And so they were gone all night. And normally when they're gone all night, then the next day my mom is in bed the whole time. She can't move. She complains about her legs, but she won't admit that it's the fact that she's been out all night at 84 at the casino. She's trying to come up with all these reasons. So her legs were really cramping the next day and they were achy and sore. And she, my dad was just like, what can I do? Because she was almost on the verge of tears. And I said, no, Dad, let me put a patch on her. Because we were a little bit hesitant to put a patch on her because we didn't know with the TB meds if it, how things were. Because we had to be really careful what we give her, even over the counter. And so I just threw it on her, and I just put it on on the side of her calf on one leg. And then my son and I left, and then we ran errands. We didn't do orders, but we came home, and my mom was laying in bed, and she was high energy. She was just talking. I said, has she been like this the whole time? He's like, the whole time. She was like, she's like, I don't know. And we didn't tell her we put the pat like what we did. I just put it on her. And so she didn't know it was on her. She's like, I don't know. She's like, one minute I'm not feeling good, then the next minute she's like, I feel good, my legs don't hurt. And she's like, I had some water. I think it was the water. And she's like, people say you have to drink the water. I'm thinking my dad and I are like, no, it's not the water, and she's early signs of dementia. So even if we told her, she probably wouldn't remember. Because she asked me I gave her some food, and she was like, "What is that?" Oh, ham. I said it's ham. And then I don't know, 30 seconds later, she's like, "What is that?" I was like, "Ham." so we don't bother to tell her. We put it on her, and that right there is a full testimony because she didn't even know it was on her. She doesn't. There's no placebo effect or anything like that. I mean, it was nothing mental. We put it on her, and she had that effect. And
That's
so,
cool. That's cool. That's
yeah.
really
So
cool.
my other boys, so I have a 19-year-old who's like really excited to try this Lumi. So we'll get that on. We wanted to do the stuff for pain. My surgery was the biggest thing that we really wanted to get me through. And I'm telling you, I mean, my physical therapist is just shocked. And so when people are like, when they're asking, I'm like, it has to be these patches, and I'm showing them my patches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's no medication in them. I was like, I don't know how they work. They just work. So, but I have a friend who just visited, and she knew that I was having the surgery, and then she came because her mom's here, and she came up to visit, and she was actually, I don't think people think that I feel as good as I'm saying, because I'm such a positive person. I think a lot of people think that I try to stay positive just to stay positive, but no, if I'm hurting, I'm hurting, or if I'm miserable. And I just think that people are just shocked and don't believe, and I had to show my scars. I mean, because even the people like that I know that I've gotten to know as I run orders for Walmart, they were like, where have you been? I'm like, I just had surgery. And they're like, and you're back out and doing this? And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, see, here are my scars. Because I don't think that they believe that I had it done, because I was driving my kids. I had surgery on Monday. I was driving my boys back to campus Wednesday morning.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was another why I didn't want to be on the Percocet, because I didn't want to be driving
Yeah.
while under influence of that medication. And they don't drive. So, and they're on full scholarship. So I don't want to mess up their academics. So mom does what I need to. So I had my sling, and I have the knob on my car, on my steering
Oh,
wheel.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
taught myself to drive with one hand, you
Uh-huh.
know. And I'm telling you, it was, and I think we started running orders that weekend just to see how it would go. Yeah.
Wow.
So I can't, yeah.
That's
My,
incredible. That's incredible. What a great story. That all those stories are so inspiring. I mean, wow. Your whole
yeah,
family.
our whole family. Yep. And my oldest has sleep issues. And so we are going to do the REM for him.
Oh.
So you might see in a different video with whole
Yeah.
different, we're
Yeah.
going to be family.
Yeah, it's beautiful though. You know, there's a lot of people who can identify with us, well, being in a car accident like that and having, pain and issues, and then the whole shoulder surgery. I don't know why that's so hard to say. Shoulder surgery. And, I'm sure a lot of people have experience with recovering from that or know somebody. And it's like amazing to hear your story about how it was so much easier than anyone expected.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. I I count my blessings,
Yeah.
I really do. And if you hadn't brought that into my life years ago, oh yeah, when I first was using, what was it? The HPT? Is that what it was? The
Yeah,
first,
that's just what we used to call it. It's just the
yeah,
same technology. Yeah.
when it was that one and I first used it, and I have neuropathy, and I couldn't, on the bottom of the soles of my feet, I couldn't tell the difference between textures. And the first time I went from carpet to hard, not like to like linoleum, I
Uh-huh.
could actually feel the difference. And
Oh,
that was when I was sold on them the
that's
first time.
cool. I hadn't heard that story.
Oh, I thought I had shared that with you.
No, I don't think so, but that's really cool.
Maybe I told Sarah about it, because I think Sarah, I don't know if she was in at the time or was using it, but I think
Yeah.
because we were all in that same circle from before.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
I was talking to her, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I
That's
can feel
really
the,
cool. That's cool. I've never heard anyone even mention that the texture thing. That's neat. I don't have neuropathy, so I've never had that numbness. So
yeah. Oh, it sucks.
I'm sure it does. Well, gosh,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that you came on and you were told us all these wonderful stories. It was very inspiring. And I love you
Oh,
so much. And thank you. And I hope I see you next time I'm out in Seattle.
oh yeah, for sure. We have to get
Yeah, we
together.
definitely have to get together. So I'm going to sign off now,
Okay.
and then we'll just talk another time. Okay? Mwah. Thank you so very much.
Okay.
Bye bye.